Why do you hear about God's love and walk away unchanged? Why do others start their faith journey full of passion, only to quit when life gets hard? And why do some seem to have it all together, yet their lives produce nothing that truly matters? Jesus knew the answer. It comes down to one thing you can control right now: the condition of your heart. Will it let God's word grow, or will it wither before it can bear fruit? This is the parable of the sower, a powerful story that reveals the secrets of faith, the true condition of your heart, and how your life can finally bear lasting fruit.
It was a beautiful day by the Sea of Galilee, and people from all over the region had heard that Jesus was teaching nearby, and they came, by the hundreds, maybe even thousands. There were fishermen and farmers, merchants and mothers with their children. Rich and poor, young and old, they all wanted to hear what Jesus had to say. Word had spread about this teacher who spoke with authority and performed miracles. His words weren't like the religious leaders who made everything complicated. Jesus spoke in ways that ordinary people could understand. As more and more people arrived, they pressed closer and closer to Jesus. Soon there were so many people that Jesus could barely move. He looked around, searching for a way to teach this enormous crowd where everyone could see and hear him. Then Jesus noticed a small fishing boat resting by the water's edge. He stepped into the boat and asked the disciples to push it out a little way from the shore. The boat became his stage, and the shoreline became a natural amphitheater. The crowd grew quiet. Children stopped playing. Conversations faded. Everyone's attention turned to Jesus. It was one of those special moments when you could feel that something important was about to happen. Jesus looked out at the sea of faces before him. He saw people from all walks of life. He knew their hearts were different, so he told them a simple story about something they all understood: farming. "Listen carefully," Jesus said, his voice carrying across the water. "One day, a farmer went out to sow his seed. He filled his seed bag and headed out to his field. It was planting season, and he had work to do. The farmer began to scatter his seeds across the field, throwing them in wide arcs with careful hands, trusting they would take root. This was how farmers planted in those days, by hand, trusting that the seeds would find their place in the soil. But not all the ground was the same. Some of the seeds fell on the path, a hard, packed-down walkway that people and animals had trampled for years. The seeds just sat there on the surface, exposed and vulnerable. Before long, birds spotted the seeds lying helpless on the hard ground. They swooped down eagerly, pecking at the seeds until every last one was gone. Those seeds never had a chance to grow. They never even broke open. They were snatched away before they could do what they were meant to do. Other seeds fell on rocky ground. Now, this wasn't ground covered with rocks that you could see. No, underneath a thin layer of soil, there was solid rock, like a stone shelf hidden just below the surface. At first, these seeds seemed to do great. Because the soil was shallow, it warmed up quickly in the sun. The seeds sprouted fast, and little green shoots pushed up toward the sky. If you had walked by that field a few days after planting, you might have thought, "Look at those healthy plants. That farmer must be doing something right." But then, the sun grew hotter. Day after day, it beat down on those young plants. The plants tried to send their roots deeper, searching for water and nutrients, but the roots couldn't penetrate the rock below. They had nowhere to go. Without deep roots, the plants couldn't survive. They withered under the scorching sun, turned brown, and died. They had started so well, but they couldn't last. Still other seeds fell among thorns. These landed in soil that looked decent enough, and the seeds began to grow. But they weren't alone. Thorny weeds were already living in that soil, and they started growing too, fast and aggressive. The thorns didn't care about the farmer's seeds. They spread their prickly branches wider and wider, reaching up higher and higher, blocking out the sunlight. The young plants tried to compete, stretching toward the sun, fighting for space. But the thorns were too strong, too established, too overwhelming. And what happened to those plants? Well, the thorns choked the life out of them. The plants grew weak and sickly. They never produced any grain, never fulfilled their purpose. They simply couldn't thrive in such crowded, hostile conditions. But some seeds, precious, blessed seeds, fell on good soil. This was deep, rich, well-prepared earth, the kind of soil that had been plowed and cleared of rocks and weeds, soil that was ready and waiting for seeds. These seeds sprouted and sent their roots deep into the ground. The roots found water and nutrients. The plants grew strong and tall, their leaves broad and green. When the sun beat down, these plants didn't wither. They had the roots to sustain them. And when harvest time came, oh, what a harvest! Some plants produced 30 times more grain than what was planted. Others produced 60 times more. And some produced an incredible 100 times more. Where one seed had been planted, there now stood grain enough to feed many people. The farmer's work had not been in vain. Jesus finished his story and looked at the crowd. "Whoever has ears to hear, let them hear," he said. The people whispered to each other, confused. What did this story about farming have to do with God? Why was Jesus talking about seeds and soil?
Later, when the crowds had gone home and Jesus was alone with his 12 disciples, they came to him with questions. "Master," they said, "why do you speak to the people in parables? And what does this parable about the farmer mean?" Jesus looked at his faithful followers with love. He knew they genuinely wanted to understand, and so he explained the deeper meaning of his parable. "Listen then to what the parable of the sower means," Jesus said. "The seed is the message about God's kingdom, the good news of God's love, forgiveness, and truth. The farmer is anyone who shares this message with others. When people hear the message about the kingdom but don't understand it," Jesus explained, "they're like the seeds on the path. The evil one comes and snatches away what was planted in their hearts. The message never takes root because they never really grasped what it meant. Like birds stealing seeds, the devil steals the truth before it can grow. The seeds on rocky ground," Jesus continued, "represent people who hear the message and immediately receive it with joy. They're excited at first, but they have no root. They believe for a little while, but when trouble comes, when following God becomes difficult, or when people make fun of them for their faith, they quickly fall away. Their faith was shallow, based only on good feelings, not on deep conviction. The seeds among the thorns," Jesus said, his voice sad, "are people who hear the message, but the worries of life, the love of money, and the desire for other things come in and choke the word. They become so busy, so stressed, so focused on getting rich or having fun that the message gets crowded out. It never produces fruit in their lives. But the seed on good soil," Jesus said, and his face lit up with joy, "represents people who hear the message and truly understand it. They accept it into their hearts and hold on to it. They let it change them from the inside out. And because of that, they produce a harvest, some 30, some 60, some 100 times what was sown. Their lives overflow with love, kindness, peace, and all the good fruit that comes from knowing God." The disciples finally understood. This wasn't really a story about farming at all. It was a story about hearts, about how different people respond when they hear the truth about God.
Jesus' lesson is timeless. When we hear God's word, what kind of soil are our hearts? Are we like the hard path, where the message never even gets in? Are we like the rocky ground, excited at first, but lacking the depth to keep going when things get tough? Are we like the thorny ground, letting the worries and distractions of life choke out what matters most? Or are we like the good soil, ready to receive God's message, willing to let it take deep root, and committed to letting it produce good things in our lives? Jesus knew that people have different hearts, and he loved them all. But he also knew that the condition of our hearts makes all the difference. God's word is powerful, like a seed that contains everything needed to produce life. But that seed needs good soil to grow. The good news is this: we can choose what kind of soil we'll be. We can prepare our hearts by being open to God's truth. We can remove the rocks of hardness and the thorns of distraction. We can water the seeds by reading God's word, by praying, by being part of a community of believers. We can protect the young plants by standing strong when troubles come. And when we do, when our hearts are ready and willing, God's word will grow in us. It will produce a harvest beyond anything we could imagine. Our lives will become gardens of blessing, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us. So today, ask yourself, what kind of soil is my heart? And if you realize you've been hard like the path, rocky and shallow, or choked with thorns, remember, it's never too late to change. God is patient. He's still scattering seeds, still hoping to find good soil, still waiting for hearts that are ready to receive His word and let it transform their lives. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more animated Bible stories. Tell us in the comments, what kind of soil do you want your heart to be? We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, may God's word take deep root in your heart and produce an abundant harvest. Goodbye, and God bless you.